You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. We are back with another Cabral HouseCall today. Excited to get into the show. As always, the weekends are for reaching out to our community, being able to answer as many questions as possible. The good news is we are now only running about 6 weeks behind, 5 to 6 weeks behind in terms of answering your questions. The reason is that I have an amazing team and they are able to filter through the questions and answer a lot of them that don't need to be read on the weekends, meaning that if it's a customer service question, if it's a question that does not need to be answered by me personally, they're able to take care of that. So really excited because we very well may see us catch up to about 2 to 3 weeks out, maybe in another month or two or towards the end of the year. So thank you so much for, again, being a listener of the Cabral Concept. I appreciate you much more than you know. And one of the reasons why I love doing the Cabral House Calls is that a lot of people don't know it or may not even be able to fathom what it is like running a fairly large practice and having social media channels and having a pretty big Facebook group. And I now literally get over 500 emails, direct messages on Instagram, Facebook messages, comments in our Integrative Health Practitioner program, and comments in Facebook. It might well be over 1,000 now. I don't even like to think about how many it is. I just want to give a shout out to my team. It is my team that is able to keep up with all of these. Even if I just spent, I always say, even if I just spent 1 minute, that's it. Even if I only spent 1 minute reading and responding to all of the Facebook, Instagram messages, the emails, everything, and that's all that I did, that would actually be an 8-hour day. So believe it or not, I would actually never be able to record a podcast, do videos that I want to, formulate products, teach, create more IHP courses, all of those things that I love to do. So I just want you to know that the weekends are my time to try to give back, answer those questions. I know that some people want me to answer them directly in Facebook and all of those things. I apologize that I can't. I wish that I was able to, but it's not a reality. It's simply not. I would still have my 10 hours of work that I do every day. So I would be working then an 18-hour day, and I just, would not be fair to my family. Probably wouldn't be fair to my health either. So I just want to just put that out there. And again, I know that not everyone will understand, but I do my best. I really do. And hopefully that these weekend house calls are doing my best to be able to give back as well. All right. Let's get into our first question today. They come in, they're answered in the order that they are received. So our first question is from Megan on August 17th. And Megan writes in, "Hi, Dr. Cabral. Thank you for everything you do. You've helped me immensely. Keep up the good work. My question is about a guy I've recently started dating. He is 26 and seems to have little uncontrollable tics or Tourette's-like symptoms. Is there something you can suggest to help him? His diet is not the best at the moment. I'm currently studying your IHP certification and would love to know if this is something I can help people with when I'm certified. Thanks again." Well, Megan, thank you for writing in. And it's always great that we have so many people who want to help others, especially our integrative health practitioners. So here's the thing. I've answered now, 5 podcasts on Tourette's, or you can also type in tics as well. So episode 442 on Tourette's, episode 477, 443, 428, a lot of 400s there were some, and on 1192. So I suggest you check those out. What I'd like you to do is, let me see if there's also some shows where people wrote in the keyword tics as well. And there was episode 518. Actually, that was not it. That was on tick spray. And there was one on 694. So here's what I can suggest, though. Besides listening to those previous podcasts, you can obviously rewind and write them down. Here's what I'd like you to do. I would like you, for him, to run what is called our starter kit. I would like to look for heavy metals. I'd like to look for low levels of magnesium, which could help him tremendously. Then I'd like to look for gut-based dysfunction. And ideally, he would also run a food sensitivity test and an omega-3 test for low omega-3s. Now, I know it's a lot of labs and maybe not affordable at this time. I understand that. So, a couple things you could do is do the detox, right? He'll learn about the elimination diet. He can start to do our daily nutritional support. He can start to do maybe a little bit of zinc at night. He can do some magnesium at night. These things will most likely help tremendously. So it's at least a place to get started, and eventually one day, and I would take the omega-3s as well. So again, what we have it right there, right? It's called our daily foundational protocol. He can do level 2. That would be tremendous. Do the detox first, then transition on daily foundational protocol level 2. And I think he'll do great with that. Make sure you get a lot of just the basic nutrients that I spoke about there. All right, Christina's up next. Hi, I'm a 27-year-old woman and many symptoms of hyperthyroidism. I've been struggling with changes in my body weight and have recently lost about 12 pounds in a month due to stress. I've had insomnia for the last 4 years and I'm extremely tired during the day and feel wired at night. I'm very active metabolism and can have up to 6 bowel movements a day. The symptoms seem to be much more intense when I'm pmsing and ovulating. I have frequent mood swings that can shift dramatically within an hour. I've never been clinically diagnosed but feel pretty confident that I have hyperthyroidism because it also runs in my family and would like to have a lab test analysis. Which labs do you recommend? Thank you, Christina. Christina, I very well may agree with you that you may have hyperthyroidism. So the other thing that it could be, though, is simply alarm stage stress, which is characterized by higher level output of cortisol, or at least adrenaline. So the 2 lab tests that would show you if you had this would be the thyroid adrenal hormone. You can do that right at home. And I would do that during when you feel like you are getting PMS-based symptoms. Typically, we like women to do it around day 19 or 20 on a normal stress day. And I also would like you to do the hair tissue mineral analysis. So if you were to pick 2 labs, those are the 2 labs that I would highly recommend. That would be it. I'm just going to give you those 2 labs. I mean, there would be other great ones, such as the food sensitivity test, but I'm going to give you those 2. Those are the 2 that, if you run those, we'll be able to give you a great plan to help rebalance that body. All right, Sherelle is up next. Hi, doctor. Can you please enlighten us about the link with prostaglandins in your period? For 5 days after my period, I always get diarrhea and have seen this might have something to do with chemical called prostaglandins. Is there anything I can do? Background, 40 years old, healthy, normal flow period, 5-day period, 20-day cycle, 4 years, no pain, no headaches, thanks. Okay, yeah, thank you for writing in, and I'm happy to talk about this. This is something that I've talked about in depth in the IHP course, the IHP Level 2 certification. We go through omega-3 lab testing, and I talk about all the different prostaglandin series. So there are anti-inflammatory prostaglandins and there are inflammatory prostaglandins. Without getting too deep into the biochemistry, what I'd like to share with you is this, is that when we take in foods that are higher in polyunsaturated fats that have been oxidized or arachidonic acid from higher level typically of saturated fat-based meat or oxidized nuts or something like that, it can be actually converted to more inflammatory prostaglandins. And then these inflammatory prostaglandins can actually cause more PMS-based symptoms. So this is not uncommon at all, but it happens in both men and women. And it's related to inflammation. So inflammation affects different people in different ways. For some people, those prostaglandins would actually feel like joint pain or migraines or headaches. For others, it could be a skin rash. For many more, it might be hormonal-based disruption. So that's why I can't recommend enough using the omega-3 support, whether you use 2 capsules a day, 1 at lunch, 1 at dinner, or 1 teaspoon a day. It's a small dosage, but it gives you over 2 grams a day of higher EPA. And believe it or not, the higher EPA is what's going to balance more of those prostaglandins, not the DHA. The DHA is very important for the brain, the nervous system, and it's an anti-inflammatory. However, the EPA is going to be better for hormonal-based balance, which is why we formulate ours at about a 2-to-1 ratio of EPA to DHA. They're both great. You need them both. but the EPA is going to be more powerful for prostaglandin help. So this is a very good question because I've never answered this publicly before, so I'm happy to be able to do that. But also, you have a 5-day period in a 20-day cycle. I'm wondering if you don't count those 5 days, though, as part of your cycle. So do you have a 25-day cycle, or do you have a 20-day cycle and then you get your period? Because a 20-day cycle would actually be a very short cycle. So that's something I would look at, and I would look at your progesterone levels. Does your progesterone fall out too quickly during your luteal phase, which is why you get your period within 20 days? So you can run this with a thyroid adrenal hormone lab. You can do it right at home, and you'll get those results. Thank you, Sherelle, for writing in. Beck is up next. Good evening. I'm interested in a detox for my 5-year-old son. He's currently 85 pounds, and we live and eat a healthy lifestyle. My husband and I are average in athletic, and my daughter, 4, also has a healthy weight. The pediatrician tells me that I should not be concerned with his weight until he's 10 years old, but I'm having a hard time with that. He complains of his legs hurting all the time. We recently, past 2 years, discovered from our chiropractor that he has a sensitivity to corn and sugar. When consumed, his leg pain increases, and most of all of his behavior does a complete 180. He gets very angry and irritable, and nothing I can do to stop it. My chiropractor mentioned that it could have something to do with his weight as well. We cut it out as much as possible, but it's in everything. A friend of mine suggests the detox and then the gut sealer for him. I'm having a difficult time finding the info. Could you please point me in the right direction so that I can get my baby healthy and happy? Thanks so much, Becca. Becca, thank you for writing in. I have a 5-year-old and 7-year-old myself, and I love being able to help kids as much as possible. So what I would say is this. We don't do a functional medicine detox for children unless we absolutely need to. And I don't necessarily see that with your child. Now, your child, for sure, does seem to have an issue surrounding processed food and potentially corn. So what I would love to do is certainly an elimination-based diet where we stick to root-based vegetables. We're even going to cut out the grains. We're doing healthy fats. We are doing organic-based food, good veggies, berries, those types of things. But we're not going to do any of the grains, including the corn. Then after 3 weeks, we'll begin to add back in, maybe not the corn, because he may have serious issues surrounding corn, and that would not be uncommon. There's a couple of suggestions I'm going to make. But after that, you could try to add in some oatmeal. You just do that for a week. Does it affect his behavior? Yes or no? And if the answer is no, well, then good. We have one more food we can add to his diet. Then the next week, we're going to try rice. Does that affect his behavior? Yes or no? And if the answer is no, well, then we're still good to go. You said that he's 85 pounds. I don't know if you meant that he's overweight at 5 years old. It seems like it could be a lot of weight at 5 years old, but maybe your son at 5 years old is quite tall. I don't know. I just know that may be a little larger than his body can hold or should hold at 5. I don't know if that's the case. If that is the case, we absolutely want to get rid of the fruit juice. We want to get rid of the sugars and the processed foods, and that would include a lot of the breads and pastas. And we're going to use more potatoes, and we're going to use more root-based vegetables as his starches and carbs. And he can certainly do some berries, but maybe we'll stay away from the higher glycemic ones just for now. We're not on a weight loss program for a 5-year-old, but we're on a health-based program, right? So that's what we want to do. Just 2 more things. I would love you to run the food sensitivity test, the organic acids test, and potentially the mold test. Now, I know that it's a lot of testing, but the nice thing is they're urine tests for the organic acids and urine tests for the mold. And then you can do the food sensitivity test, which is just a finger prick. So the mold test would show you, is there an issue with mold? Because if he eats corn, well, corn is one of the moldiest foods out there. Or if he doesn't actually eat corn and it's just like the corn syrup and things, well, then it might not be mold. It actually just could be almost like a prostaglandin issue. Not almost, a prostaglandin issue that we were just talking about in the last question. So we need to remove those. A good elimination diet would be great for now. It sounds like you may also need maybe a little bit of magnesium. I would highly recommend you could do your favorite children's multi. You could do a half a scoop of the daily nutritional support powder every day. And I would try to get a little bit of magnesium into him as well, somewhere between maybe 50 and 100 milligrams per day. Again, I can't give you a diagnosis, treatment, or cure on this podcast, but that's right around where I would start, at least to start, and see if that helps as well. So hopefully that gets you started. Thank you, Becca, for writing in, and I know that you'll be able to figure this out. All right, we are on to Hunter next. Hunter says, "Hey, Dr. Cabral, love your work and how you are providing valuable information on a daily basis. I work in the dental field and I enjoy applying your podcast to my field. One of the latest trends in dentistry is myofunctional therapy, which includes correcting the air pathway by training the muscles in the mouth and face. After hearing your myofunctional speaker give a presentation last week, practicing doctors claim that such therapy aids in ADHD, behavioral treatment, postural correction, sleep apnea, longevity, and much more. I would encourage you and your audience to take a look at the research in order to develop your own opinion in interdisciplinary dentistry. My question to you would be, how has dentistry orthodontics fit into your wellness view for young children and adults? This myofunctional discipline is focused on healthy occlusal forces in the mouth and improved airway to aid in proper sleep. Okay, Hunter, I understand what you're saying. Probably no one else has any idea what you're saying. Let me put this into terms that we can all understand. So what happens is we are born, or at least grow into, a certain shape face, certain shape mouth, soft palate, dental-based structure. Because of that, it can actually affect the sinus passages, the breathing airway through the back of the throat, the epiglottis, the nasal passages, which come down from the nose to down to through the back of the airway. And this can actually be corrected through some type of dental-based procedures. So there's two things, Hunter, I want you to be aware of as well. One is that sometimes, and I don't know that you're talking about this, if we begin to correct the actual palate of the mouth, we actually change the shape of the face. And if we're changing the shape of the face, it can lead to TMJ-based issues, chronic headaches, etc. I don't think that you're speaking about that, Hunter. I actually think that you're talking about retraining the muscles, working on the posture, and training the overall, we'll call it airway, to better breathe through your nasal passages and potentially a little bit through your mouth in order to improve overall nervous system and health overall. And that part I agree with. So I don't know if that answered your question, but based on what I read, that's what I agree with. I think we have to be careful, though, with actually changing the facial structure. I don't know that that's what you're mentioning, but there we go. I certainly do believe that people should practice, I'll talk about this more in the future, mult taping and things like that to get them to retrain their breathing to breathe through their nose. Okay, James is up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I am definitely a Vata ectomorph body type. I've been my whole life. I'm 6'3", 165 pounds, skinny ankles, wrists, can eat whatever I want without gaining weight. I have decided I want to gain some weight, mainly muscle. I have training in the nutrition plan to do this, but this means I will be overeating somewhere between 3,000 to 5,000 calories a day, most likely eating more protein than I need and overall not living in balance. Unfortunately, for a hard gainer, this is what I need to do to achieve my goal. I know you will probably advise against this for overall health, but I'm at a point where I feel like I need to do this at this time. I'm just looking for some tips about what to do to maintain my health, particularly gut health, while still eating very high calories and working out. Should I use enzymes to help with digestion, use the DNS powder to make sure I'm getting enough fruit and veggies, and daily fruit and vegetable blend to get enough fruit and vegetables, meditate to help with the stress my body will be under. I've already been through your parasite and CBO protocol and would hate to wreck my gut again in pursuit of this goal. Any tips would be massively appreciated. Thank you for your help, Doc. James. All right, James, great question. I think we'll keep it at this one for today. Really like the question and want to spend a little bit of time on it. Okay, so I understand where you're coming from. When I was all throughout college and until about 25 years old, 26 years old, I needed to be big. I needed my muscles to be big. And that was because I was predominantly a nutritionist, strength and conditioning coach, personal trainer, etc. And so people viewed me in that way, rightly or wrongly. They said, okay, I mean, you want your strength coach, you want your nutritionist, you want your personal trainer to have muscles. I mean, for the most part, people do. Not everyone. And it's not fair because you can have very small muscles and have a very large knowledge base to help you get whatever you want. Okay, so I get it. I understand. Here's the thing, though. It's okay. You can do this, but we can do it in a healthy way, and I help people with it all the time. Here's what we need to do, though. And if I was going back in the day and I would say, okay, I want to eat and I want to be able to gain the weight, we do need to gain the weight, right? So you are going to have to eat probably somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 calories per day. And don't over-exercise. 3 probably hard workouts per week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday is probably going to be enough for a hard gainer. Okay, full body workouts, etc. All right, so let's go over now your food. 4 meals per day. If you keep 4 hours between each meal, 3.5 to 4 hours, you are then going to allow all of that food to move through your stomach. Now, remember, you're going to be eating about 1,000 calories per meal. So how do we do that and not wreck the digestive system? Well, we can do this. We can make 2 of those meals smoothies, your breakfast and your mid-afternoon. Now, your lunch and your dinner will be whole food meals. Those are going to be harder to digest. But you can make a 1,000 calorie smoothie. There's no doubt about it. You can do 2 scoops of the daily nutritional support powder, and then you can add hemp protein to that. Okay? Super easy, super simple, and you'll get 30 grams of protein for each shake. Now you're at 60 grams of protein for 2 shakes. At your whole food meals, you'll get another 30 to 40 grams of protein. Okay. So now for the day, you're going to be at 120, 150 grams of protein. That'll be perfect. You could do more, but that's enough. Remember, the more protein you eat, the more it could putrefy in the gut, causing bacterial issues. We don't want that for you, James. We don't want that at all. All right, so what else do we need to do? Hard gainers don't need to focus as much of the protein. They need it, but what they need to focus on the most is the carbohydrates. That means your carbohydrates are going to need to make up the bulk of your calories, and that's going to allow you to get those gains that you want because you're going to replenish the nervous system, the glycogen stores, fill up your muscles with all of the sarcoplasm they need, or the sarcoplasm is there, fill them up as much as they need of the fluid. And we're going to do that with carbohydrates. So we're going to get fats, proteins, and carbs, and we're going to get you at about 1,000 calories per meal. I know it's a lot. A lot of people out there be like, 1,000 calories a meal? That's crazy. I only eat 1,200 calories a day. Well, James is a hard gainer. He's 6'3" and he weighs 165 pounds. And then, James, remember, always know when to say enough is enough. I didn't know when to say that, and I'm not 6'3", and I got up to about 200 pounds, and that was way too big for my body. Now, I did it. I accomplished a goal, but almost immediately, I dropped right back down to 182 pounds very quickly within about a month because I realized that that was just way too much on my body. It was also way too much on my digestive system. I realized that. It wasn't good for my health. So for you, at 6'3", you could be 185 pounds and be very, very healthy. I mean, at 6'3", you could probably be even a little bit more. But why don't we set a goal? I don't know what your goal is, but I would say, hey, how about 185 pounds? Very healthy. You'll still be very lean. And yeah, I think you'll be really well-rounded and doing great. Remember, at 6'3", you can eat a little bit more food than a lot of us, right? Because you're 6'3". You have a bigger frame. I'm not 6'3", right? So that's the difference. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for writing in, James. Thank you so much to everybody who tunes in on a daily basis to the Cabral Concept. I appreciate you. Thank you for leaving your reviews on iTunes. If you haven't left a review on iTunes or your favorite podcast player, if you could do that now, it could just be one sentence. I would greatly appreciate that. I read every review that's on there. It means the world to me. It gives me fuel, adds fuel to the fire. And of course, if this show is helpful, please do feel free to share it with anyone you believe it could serve. And never forget, each and every Monday, we do our Motivation and Mindset Mondays, one of my favorite shows of the week to get us started off right, accomplishing every goal we set for ourselves in life. Thank you so much. Take care. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp parts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.